Hi, fellow traders. I hope you guys had a great day today. Before we get started, I want to send out my thoughts and prayers to those who have been affected by Hurricane Ida. I know I was watching the news today because I wanted to see. They said we were going to get some of the effects of it this evening. I was kind of watching to see so I could kind of get prepared for it. But it looks like it's going to go further north. And it's always hard to predict these things. It's kind of like day trading. It's hard to predict how things are going to play out or the direction of things with 100% certainty. But, we always like to be prepared. And by no means, I'm going to say this up front, by no means am I saying day trading and going through the issues are the same as going through a hurricane. Watching this today made me think about a lot of the similarities in terms of the learning experience. Because, Hurricane Ida made landfall 16 years to the day, exactly 16 years to the day that Hurricane Katrina came in. And it became the worst storm and the most expensive storm that ever hit the United States. I mean, it was devastating. Like over 1,800 people lost their lives. But we learned lessons. And because we learned lessons from that storm, when Ida came on, the city was more prepared. New Orleans was more prepared. The biggest issue back then were the levees that were breached. So the lessons they learned, they improved the levees and they held. So all of the devastation that we had from Katrina, we didn't have for Ida, even though Ida came on as a Cat 4 hurricane and Katrina was only a Cat 3. So it made me think about all the lessons that we've learned, even to the point of taking care of citizens who have been displaced. That was a mess. But I know they had a better process so that more people would not have to suffer and lose their lives because of this. And I started thinking about, in trading, we go through storms, and I've used the analogy of going through storms before, in our trading, because it's kind of what it feels like. It's like we actually see it coming in time, and a lot of times we feel it coming, and we're going through it, and then we're coming out on the other end. When we make it through the storm, we should learn how to better prepare and to solidify our trading so that we could go through these storms, be protected, and have everything in place. It's never a good thing, but we can't stop storms from coming. We can better predict when they're coming. We can, as we get better at this, we can better prepare ourselves while we're going through it. And then we take what we learned to make sure the next time we're even more prepared. And that's the process. And I was asked, and the reason why I thought about this is that I was asked by a member that I was mentoring today, why is it so hard to kind of stick to your rules? And really, why is it so hard to be a day trader? Because that's what we're talking about, day trading. And day trading is difficult because we actually put so much pressure on ourselves that everything that we have seemingly prepared for, we tend to forget sometimes because we put that pressure on ourselves. It's like we can be prepared for the storm, but if we, lose our cool, then we start forgetting about the things that we need to do to prepare. Like for me, preparing for the storm, I wanted to see, okay, what are we looking at? Because if the storm is gonna be so intense, I need to tie up my chairs, take my umbrella down out the patio, turn the table over and tie it up. I need to tie up my son's basketball goal. The things I need to do to prepare for that storm, or else I'm gonna have a mess to clean up, or I can have a chair coming through my patio window, the sliding glass door. So I've had that happen before. So I learned, but if I'm not calm, cool, and collected when I go through this, I can forget and things can turn out to be catastrophic. So as we go through these trials that we have in our trading, we can't stop them from coming back. We can't. They're gonna show up. The market's gonna create the storm that we're gonna go through. And if we're prepared enough to know how to stick to our process, to seamlessly pass through as these storms come and we come out on the other side, and if we experience something different, then we know, hey, I can fix this, so that the next time it's going to be even a more seamless transition through the storm. And day trading is difficult because we have so much pressure on us, is that when we feel a storm coming, we tense up and we start thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff versus what we know and what's going to get us through seamlessly to the other side. Then we have to do it when we get through the storms one step at a time. One step at a time. It's just like how we learn to trade. It's one step at a time. If you try to just throw everything on top of you at one time, you're going to implode. And you're not going to come through. So just know, if you're having trouble, if you continue to go through these challenging times, and everything is clear and green for a while, and then you go through a storm and it just seems like it just steals everything back from you, and you come out on the other end with nothing. You have to learn the lessons from being in that storm. You have to learn how to protect yourself from those storms as you go through it, so that when you come out, you'll be at a point where you could take the lessons that you learned this time and add them to what you already have, and you be ready for the next time. So we can't continue to put all this pressure on ourselves and try to learn everything and fill our head up with a whole bunch of stuff that we really don't need to get to that other side. We know what we need. We just have to make sure we do it and think through it as it's happening. If we need to talk to somebody, hopefully you guys have access to a mentor you can talk to as you're going through this. But the main thing is, don't panic. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Implement the things that you've learned the last time, and let's get through this. All right, so looking at the spot today, looks like another rest day. We're still hanging out at the top of this channel. This channel got adjusted down based on the price action. That's how they adjust these. And it got adjusted down. We're still trading kind of sideways, but we are above the 5-day. We're above the 10-day. So we are still very bullish. The market is still very bullish. It's just resting right now. And what that does, that kind of limits the movement of some of the stocks. When the market rests, sometimes the stocks tend to rest. So we'll see, going into Thursday and Friday, are we going to push up and start making the run to 455 and through 460? Or are we going to come back and test the bottom of this channel? Looking at this, we could actually do this for a couple of weeks before we get a pullback. We don't want that. We want it to either march up or pull back so that we can have some decent movement. We can have some really good tradable movement across the board. Now, we are getting stocks that are moving, that are giving us profit potential, but we're not seeing the follow through that I like to see. And that's what's lacking here. So we'll see if we're going to come out of this tomorrow, on which way we're going to go. And we'll kind of go from there. We did close kind of weak today. So, we'll see what that tells us. So CRWD was my first trade today. They reported earnings yesterday. And we had the nice big candle at the open. Now, I was looking for this, and we talked about this morning, and I wish the recording had not gotten screwed up. If you were with me in chat this morning, my computer crashed. The whole system crashed, and so the video file is corrupt, and I couldn't really get it back, but I had all this on tape. But you could see what we were talking about was how CRWD, they beat earnings per share, they beat revenue, and they had good guidance, really good guidance. So because of that, we were thinking, okay, it should gap up yesterday, but it didn't. It sold off. We had this huge sell-off. Well, today I'm looking at, we should be recovering, and it looked like we were recovering. We held the 267 level, and we were building off of that all morning. We get the big push, and so I get in. Now, okay, I see, and I saw this on red to green right here. I saw this. And I was thinking, okay, the momentum here, here's what happened. This candle got put in, this candle opened, it sold off to the 200. It got aggressively bought up. We were looking really strong. So I'm thinking, yeah, we've got enough to just get through this. And I can start taking profit. In worst case scenario, I'll get a base hit, we'll reset, and I'll catch the next move up. Well, it got stuffed here, and it came flying back right to my stop. And I could not let it run anymore. Okay, I realize now that I actually gave it a hell of a lot more than I was supposed to. But it stopped me out, and then it turned around, and once we got over this, I got back in, and we got the solid trade. All right, so this pretty much negated the loss here. So it pretty much got me break even. This was a beautiful trade, and this is exactly what we were looking for out of the open. But I could see I made a mistake by anticipating that we were going to break through this. Had I waited until we got over it, I would have had a really, really good trade, $500-600 trade on this. But instead, I've got a scratch trade because I anticipated, got burned, and jumped in. This is a failure. This is an execution failure, because at no point should I have gotten in. Now, if I got in on this break, maybe I would have been able to take profit here, depending on what the price was. But this was ripping fast, and this is where I got in. All right, so that was that. And it was just an execution error. This one, beautiful. This one, not so much. So that was on CRWD. SQ, I got it later. I was waiting for, this was a 5-minute opening range. I could have got it on the initial break. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to catch it on the next break once it made a new high. I did that. Was able to catch one target. Didn't quite get to the second one. Came back and stopped me out. Practically at break even. So nice base hit on this. We did kind of crack this, but we never did confirm it. So, and this thing just kind of pulled right back. CRWD had a huge, you could see this thing had a huge reversal. SQ, once it hit the top, it had a huge reversal. What was the other stock we were looking at? Coinbase. All right, let me get this chart. This was on our watch as well. I'm opening it up. Okay, this was on our watch as well. I happened to miss this secondary trade right here. That was a couple of points. I happened to miss that. But, this one was another one. We had some traders that got hold of this one. So we have the moves early. It's just that afterwards, these are just dirty, and I can't really trade this, inside of all these moving averages. That's just not my game. But only came out with $168 today. Shoot, I had it. But I only came out with like $168 today. But that's fine. I'll take it. We had a really good Monday. I know yesterday was kind of iffy. Today, at least we ended up green. I'm gonna have to focus and make sure I don't make these dumb mistakes. Anticipating is not. Sometimes it's good when the market is receptive to it. And maybe I was thinking the market was receptive to it this morning, but I should not think that. Just, these are the times where I need to just, if I stick to my conservative ways, I'm probably going to make more money than trying to risk more. So that's going to wrap it up for me today. I hope you guys had a great night. Have a great night. And if you're in the path of those storms, stay safe. And we'll get back at this thing first thing in the morning.